Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? My name is Clara Planson. I'm the sales marketing manager here at Beekast. And today I'm going to be showing you our all new 5 innovative icebreaker templates. So I'm really excited to be sharing this with you today. And before we get started, I'm just going to make sure that you can hear and see me. So just make sure to give me a thumbs up or a quick comment in the Livestorm chat to let me know that you're seeing and hearing this all right. Okay, I just saw one little thumbs up, I believe. So I'm taking that as a good sign that you can hear me. Great. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and invite you guys to join me on this session today. So there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can either go to beekast.live and enter the session code that you can read right here on the top banner. So today the session code will be 546 421. Or you can go ahead and directly click on the link that I just shared with you in the Livestorm chat. So go ahead and click on that link or enter the session code on beekast.live and you'll be able to join me on our session today. All right, great. Let's jump right into the subject today. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was how to actually add a Beekast template to your Beekast session. So for those of you who may be new to Beecast, there is a very easy way to do this, and it's when you are on your Beecast session, as you can see right here, you simply have to go to the top left part of your screen on that Add a Slide button, click on it, and then as you can see, there's a column that appears, and you're going to have all your activities and other extra slides that you can add to your session. But what we're going to be interested in are templates. So when you want to add a Beecast template to your session, you go to the template part right here, click on it, and then as you can see, easy as pie, you now have all of the Beecast templates in one place. So you can kind of read and see what each one of them does, get more information by hovering over each template. And then you can just pick the one that you want to add. So for example, if I wanted to add a blob tree, I could just click on import. I could choose the variation that I want. So for example, I could choose a train or a beach. Today, let's pick the beach because it is summer and it is warm here. So let's kind of have that holiday vibe happening. All right, and as you can see, your activity is ready to go. You have a beautiful template that's ready to be used by all of your participants. So very easy, very quick to add, and all you have to do is click on Add a Slide. All right, so now let's dive into our all new Beecast icebreakers. Let me switch back here. And just to let you know, I'll be available in the Livestorm chat as well. So I will be pausing to make sure that everyone can hear me and just also make sure that I can answer any questions you may have. So if you do have a question or if you need more information about something, you can just drop a little question in the Livestorm chat and I'll be happy to answer. All right, so our very first icebreaker is called Create Your Character. And it's a really fun activity in which everyone is going to be able to kind of build a character that reflects their current state of mind. So it's a bit like playing with a Mr. Potato Head for those who may be familiar with that game, because it's an extremely creative icebreaker where you're going to kind of be able to unleash your colleagues' imagination. They're going to be able to build a character from scratch using the canvas activity, and that also means that it's an icebreaker that you're going to be able to renew over time. So every time you use this icebreaker, it's going to be very different. Let me show you how this works exactly. So here I am on a Canvas activity, and this is the Create Your Character template. So as you can see, I've already created some characters from scratch. And by this, I mean that I've added the eyes, hair, face, mouth, even some accessories as well. And you can even name them and change the color of the card. This means that each collaborator, each person that you're working with and that is participating in this activity is going to be able to customize their character as much as they want. So as you can see, you have all of the items that you need to build your character on the left side right here. So you have faces, eyes, noses, mouths, etc. And a really easy way to do this is just, let's say here, I'm going to pick this card right here, and this is going to be my card. So to show my state of mind today, I can simply copy and paste the elements that I want. So let's take a face, for example, and I can make this bigger or smaller depending on what I want. I can choose the eyes. So I'm very happy. I'm amazed by this webinar today. If I want to be playful or happy, I can go ahead and click on this fun little mouth. Of course, I can add ears. Let's add a little bit of hair. So I have actually pretty short hair, but I do like this one. So once again, it's a very creative activity because everyone's going to be able to kind of choose what they want their character to look like. And so depending on what I'm seeing, I can then interpret those characters. So for example, I may be thinking that Joanna and Quentin are pretty happy to be here, and I may want to talk to Thomas, who looks angry today. Maybe it's because he hasn't had his morning coffee yet, but it's a time where you can really easily see people's moods and state of mind. So once again, highly recommend you use this icebreaker, especially in small groups. This may be an icebreaker that could be very time consuming if you were to in a bigger group, let's say over 30 participants. I think this works great between 2 to 15 people. All right, checking very quickly that there aren't any questions, and there are not. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on to our fun facts. And the fun facts activity is actually a great way to build team spirit before starting a workshop, for example. So the idea is pretty simple. It's just to enable your participants to get to know each other through amusing little facts and anecdotes. So here, each participant is going to be able to add their anecdote in the form of a message or an image and in order to answer questions. So there are going to be questions, sort of like prompts, and each person is going to be able to come answer this prompt in a category. So we'll be using the board activity, and I'm going to show you this right away. And just keep in mind that this is a great activity for a wider audience. So whichever type of group size you have, whether it's just 2 or 3 people, or let's say 30, 40 people, this works great. It's really easy to put into place, to set up, and it kind of replaces the classic roundtable discussion where everyone goes around the table and gives one idea. And that can sometimes be a little bit boring or a little bit awkward. Sometimes you have people who don't really know what they want to say, who have a hard time maybe introducing themselves. And what's great about this activity is through the prompts, no one actually has to come up with something crazy. They just have to answer each prompt. And personally, I also think this is a great activity in order for people to get to know each other and find common interests. Because as you'll see right here, let me show you how this looks. So making sure that this is popping up for you guys. Okay, perfect, it is. So as you can see right here, you have each idea, so you can kind of track who is participating. So you have that little bubble on the top left side of each idea, which allows you to know that this is the same person. The first cards are from apparently a llama, and the second one is from a social turtle. So these are the names that we use, the avatars, because we are currently in the avatar settings for our session. But if you were to connect yourself to your Beekast session, you would see to your Beekast account, sorry, you would see your actual name pop up, so you could know who said what. And as you can see, here are the prompts. So for example, we have prompts like something I can't live without, something I'm good at, something you've heard or seen recently, and everyone can kind of come and share information. And for example, we could imagine that someone could also say, hey, I'm also good at playing the piano. And then you have 2 people in this activity that both can play the piano and then can kind of interact on this. So this is just a really fun activity if you're looking to get people talking with each other and just kind of get to know people in a really quick and effective way. Keep in mind, I also recommend using pictures and emojis to kind of bring a dynamic atmosphere to this icebreaker. And once again, if you are to connect yourself to your Beekast account, this is a great activity to do with an identified session. All right, let's move on to our next icebreaker. This is called ESVP. And I really love this activity because it's a great way to kind of understand everyone's posture toward a meeting or a workshop. And it's also something that I recommend when you're doing retrospective type meetings because it's going to allow you to see how people are feeling in a meeting, if they want to be here, if they don't want to be here. And so before kind of diving into a meeting or a class or an event, um, or even a training course, for example, this is a great icebreaker that you can do to kind of make sure that everyone that is here is motivated, engaged, and that they understand why they're here today. So, how does the ESVP icebreaker work? Well, it's pretty simple. Once again, we are in a Canvas activity. So this is a whiteboard and we have our template that's set up. And so I have different types of characters here. I have 4 characters, which represent my ESVP. This stands for explorer, shopper, vacationer, and prisoner. So if I were to participate in a meeting and this is the icebreaker that I see, I would be able to put a sticker towards the category that feels the most like me. So let me just show you what that would look like. If you are on the activity, okay, perfect. So you are seeing me. And the way that this works is I would be able to kind of drag my little button right here, my little sticker, and I could say, okay, so today I feel like an explorer when it comes to this meeting. And that means that I want to discover new things and learn as much as possible. But then maybe one of my colleagues is the shopper. And so this means that my colleague is here because they're curious to see what information and new ideas they can get from this meeting. So they're actually looking for added value. They're kind of waiting to see what they can get out of this meeting. And then I may have another colleague that sees themselves as a vacationer. So this would mean that they are interested in the meeting. They're not actually that interested in the meeting, sorry, but they're happy to kind of get out of their daily routine. So right now, that tells me as the facilitator, okay, so this person doesn't particularly think that this meeting is going to be of any interest to them, but they're not angry that they're there. But that also means that they may not be the most engaged. And then finally, I may have a final colleague who sees themselves as the prisoner. And this is kind of going to be a warning bell for you guys because this is a time where you can say, okay, so this person feels compelled to participate, and they would rather be anywhere else. And this is a big problem because technically you want to make sure that everyone in your meeting or in your course or in any type of interaction that you're going to have with them, you want to make sure that they want to be here. You want to make sure that they understand why they're here and what they're going to get out of this exchange. And so if you have people that see themselves as a prisoner of your meeting, well, that's the time to kind of go back and ask questions and give them more information about why they're here today before moving to the next part of your meeting. So I highly recommend doing this in a space where sometimes you may not know um, how people feel about the meeting that they're about to get to join. And this is just a great way to kind of also segment your audience and tell yourself, okay, so I have, for example, maybe sometimes you'll have a group of explorers and just 1 or 2 vacationers, or maybe everyone will be shoppers, and that may tell you that they didn't have enough information about the meeting in the first place. Or you may have maybe 4 or 5 prisoners, and this could be a way of this could be a way of telling you, okay, well, why are you doing this meeting, and why do these people feel like they're being forced to attend? or compelled to be here. So I highly recommend you do this. I think it's a great activity. It's super easy to understand. It's very visual. And because you're not putting words on anything and you're just dragging a sticker to a specific part of the screen, it allows people to kind of explain to you how they're feeling without actually having to put words on those feelings, which is a great way to also kind of boost interaction and participation. All right. Just checking to see if anyone has any questions. And right now, there are none. So I'll just keep moving on. Next, we have an icebreaker called Who's Who. And this could also be an icebreaker called Guess Who from the game, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So, the way that this activity works is that you're going to get to know your colleagues or your participants a lot better, because each participant is going to have the opportunity to share a statement about themselves, a fact, and the others are going to have to guess who it corresponds to. So, I find that this is a very original way to kind of find out things about your colleagues, especially because it's a little bit more of a gamified activity where people are going to have to guess and kind of ask questions and play detective in order to find out whose fact belongs to who. So let me show you how this works. This is once again a board activity. And the way that this works is when you're the facilitator in a synchronous session, Beekast session, you're going to invite participants to share their fun fact about themselves. So each person is going to share a fact. As you can see in the board that I'm currently displaying, we have 4 facts and 4 participants. So that means that everyone shared a little something about themselves. And then, as the facilitator, I can easily go ahead and move the facts into the column that best describes the person. So, for example, I could ask my participants, okay, so who do we think has played guitar for the past 8 years? And this is a time for people to kind of ask questions and say, okay, well, I know that, for example, Charlotte plays piano. So maybe she's a great musician and she's played guitar for the past 8 years. Or maybe I've seen Mark listen to acoustic guitar and you can ask him about it. Oh, maybe that Mark's the one who plays guitar. And so, as you can see, this is a way then for the facilitator, once everyone has agreed on this, they can kind of move the idea to the correct person. So let's say that here Jade is the one that has traveled to 15 countries, and Mark is actually the one who met a huge celebrity before, and Benjamin can touch his nose with his tongue. So just kind of a fun way to get everyone talking and learning things about each other. Personally, I recommend having kind of fun facts. You don't have to be very serious about this. I think that the funner the information is, the easier it is to remember it. And this is a great way for people to associate an idea with a person in order to kind of remember that person. So if you're doing this in very large groups, let's say 30, 40 participants, fun facts are a great way, and anecdotes, of course, are a great way to build the memory and help people kind of remember things. So let's say that for the rest of my life, I will remember that Benjamin is the guy who can touch his nose with his tongue. And that's something that's going to stick. So yeah, this is a great icebreaker for very wide groups, especially people who may be seeing each other for the very first time. All right, and now we are cruising along, and we're gonna be getting to our final template. So this is our last icebreaker. It's called Liar Liar, and some of you may also know it as the Two Truths, One Lie game. So just to come back on the board activities that we've seen so far, the fun facts activity, as you can see, has identified participants. So I know who has said what. And my who is anonymous, which means that in this activity, of course, in order for the game to work, I don't know who posted which idea. So showing you our final board activity this time, I'm once again identified, and you can see that I have once again a facilitator category, a facilitator column, and then I have all of my participants. So Claire, John, Florence, Kyle, etc. And what I ask my participants to do is to share 3 affirmations about themselves, three things about themselves. But in these 3 ideas, 2 of them have to be true and 1 of them has to be a lie. And then, so once everyone has done this, we're going to do this with Claire and John. So Claire and John have now shared 3 ideas. There are 2 truths and 1 lie in each. So once I've done this, I can go ahead and launch a poll. And what's going to happen is that once I've allowed people to start voting, so I'm going to start the poll, and I'm going to allow people to vote for these ideas. So as you can see on the screen right here, there's a little polling session that has been started. And this means that I can now allow people to judge, to kind of vote for the idea that they think is a lie. So people are going to be able to vote for the lie, which makes this icebreaker go a lot faster. And I highly recommend doing this with also wide groups, but also small groups. This is just a very fun way to use one of our polling features in the board activity, because it allows you to share a lot of information and then very quickly get everyone's feedback and ideas on which one of these are a lie. So here, for example, I'm going to go ahead and vote that Claire has not been in a movie. And I'm going to say that John has never met the president. So once I validate and finish the voting, I can stop polling. And as you can see here, immediately I have these little thumbs up that appear. And these little thumbs up mean that I have voted for the lie. So everyone can do this. And at the end, we could easily get a visual representation of what everyone thinks the lie is for each participant. All right. So moving on, I just wanted to see if there were any questions about these activities. I know that there's a lot of information to digest, and today we mostly saw our new board icebreakers and our new canvas icebreakers. Let me just remind you that when it comes to creating an icebreaker, things that you want to remember are the size of your audience. How many people are you trying to get together in the first place? The goal of the icebreaker. Sometimes you want to do an icebreaker to get people to feel comfortable. Sometimes you want to do an icebreaker because nobody knows each other. But sometimes you're doing an icebreaker at the beginning of a meeting with your team, so everyone already knows each other. So the goal of the icebreaker isn't going to be getting people to learn about each other, but more maybe getting people to play together, building team spirit, team cohesion, things like that. And then, of course, once you know the goal of your icebreaker and how many people are going to be participating, you also want to kind of think about the time that you have to do this icebreaker. Some icebreakers are going to be very quick. For example, just sharing a little information, or even moving a sticker to a place on a canvas. These are things that can happen very quickly and give you a accurate representation of people's moods and how they're feeling and their state of mind. But on the other hand, if you have, for example, a lot of people and only 5 minutes, you want something that can be done very quickly. Whereas if you have a small group of people and maybe a 1-hour meeting, then you have time to spend maybe 10 to 15 to 30 minutes on an icebreaker, if that means that everyone is feeling motivated and engaged to follow up on the rest of the meeting. So just keep in mind that these are always key criteria that you have to look for when it comes to building an icebreaker and adding an icebreaker into your sessions. So I hope that you enjoyed this quick little webinar. We're a little bit ahead of time because there weren't any questions. So I'm happy to know. I'm taking that as a sign that it was clear and easy for everyone to follow. If you do have questions and you didn't feel like sharing them in our Livestorm chat, make sure to send us an email. You'll be receiving the replay to this webinar very soon. So you'll be able to kind of answer or ask us any questions you may have. And yeah, we'll be happy to answer them and get in touch with you. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be seeing you very soon for our next webinar. Okay, guys, thank you so much. See you soon.